Before you left the Yoast today, you probably kissed someone goodbye. A partner, a kid, maybe your dog's head, while pretending that's normal. It took half a second. You didn't think about it at all. But that tiny automatic thing, it's one of the strangest habits our species has ever kept. It's older than money, older than cities. Some researchers think it might be older than written language itself. So the question is, where did kissing actually come from? And why did humans decide that mashing faces together was a good idea? Let's go back to the beginning. And the beginning is weird because kissing might not have started as a kiss at all. Start with primates. Chimpanzees and bonobos press their mouths together constantly after fights, before sex, just to say, we're good. But there's an even more practical version of it. One anthropologists think is the real root. Kiss feeding. Mothers chewing food into a soft paste and passing it mouth to mouth into a baby's mouth. It's not romantic. It's survival. Before blenders, before baby food, this was how you fed something with no teeth. Texas A&M anthropologist Von Bryant, who spent decades studying the history of kissing, points to this as the likely biological seed. Mouth-to-mouth contact wired straight into infant bonding, long before it meant anything close to romance. Here's the twist, though. That contact does something else, too. It passes along the mother's oral bacteria and immune signals. Babies who get kiss-fed get an early exposure boost to their mom's microbiome. So the very first kiss in human history might have been part hug, part meal, part vaccine. Weird flex, evolution. But okay. Now fast forward. Somewhere along the way, that mouth-to-mouth bonding behavior gets repurposed. Adults start using it on each other. And not for food, for information. Because here's something most people don't know. When you get close enough to kiss someone, you're not just being romantic, you're smelling them. Close-range facial contact lets you pick up on pheromone cues tied to something called the MHC, genes related to immune compatibility. Basically, your nose is quietly checking if this person's immune system pairs well with yours for making resilient offspring. Kissing might have started as a genetic background check with extra steps. But, and this is the part that really throws people off, kissing on the mouth isn't actually universal. A 2015 study by anthropologist William Jankowiak looked at 168 cultures around the world and found that only about 46% of them showed evidence of romantic mouth kissing at all. Less than half. A lot of cultures historically preferred nose-to-nose greetings, cheek presses, or breathing in each other's scent instead, which, if you think about it, lines up perfectly with the smell theory. The kiss wasn't always about lips. Sometimes it was just about getting close enough to read someone. So mouth kissing specifically, the romantic kind you're picturing right now, that had to be invented, or at least catch on somewhere. For a long time, historians thought they knew where. The oldest written mention of romantic kissing came from South Asia in Vedic Sanskrit texts from around 1500 BCE, describing people sniffing with their mouths, early kiss-like affection. But here's the thing. In 2023, two researchers, Troels Pank Arbel and Sophie Lund Rasmussen, went digging through something nobody had connected to kissing before, Bronze Age Mesopotamian clay tablets, and they found it. Descriptions of kissing between lovers, kissing between family members, all written in cuneiform, all dated to around 2500 BCE. That's a full 1,000 years earlier than the South Asian evidence. Think about that. Somewhere in ancient Mesopotamia, a scribe pressed a stylus into wet clay to write down a line about a kiss. And 4,500 years later, we're still doing the exact same thing he was writing about. Here's what makes this so important. That discovery didn't just move a date on a timeline. It suggested kissing wasn't invented once, in one place, and spread outward like a trend. It was likely popping up independently, again and again, across different early civilizations. Because the underlying instinct, the bonding, the scent checking, was already sitting there in our biology, just waiting for culture to give it a name. Now, jump forward to a civilization that got a little obsessive about it: Rome. The Romans didn't just kiss, they categorized it. There was the osculum, a friendly peck, the kind you'd give a friend or relative. There was the basium, a real romantic kiss between lovers. And then there was the savium, which was, let's say, considerably more intense and reserved for very specific company. Three separate words, three separate tiers of face contact etiquette, because apparently one word for kiss just wasn't precise enough for Roman society. But it wasn't all cute categorization. Around 40 CE, the Emperor Tiberius reportedly got so alarmed by an outbreak of a cold sore-like illness spreading through his court that he issued a decree banning kissing at official ceremonies. Think about that. 2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor was already connecting kissing to disease transmission and trying to legislate it away. And it didn't work because people kept kissing anyway. Which brings us to the darker thread running underneath this entire story. Herpes simplex virus, the one responsible for cold sores, spreads almost exclusively through direct mouth contact. In 2022, a team of researchers, including Cambridge's Christiana Scheib, sequenced ancient DNA and traced the virus's spread through human populations for thousands of years, watching it move alongside migration and, yes, kissing itself. Every time two ancient humans kissed, they weren't just exchanging affection. They were exchanging their entire microbial history. The same pattern Tiberius was apparently trying to fight off in his own palace, centuries before anyone understood what a virus even was. So kissing is bonding, mate checking, and biological information sharing, all wrapped into one gesture that also occasionally gave your ancestors a cold sore. Romantic. Now bring it forward to today, because your body still treats a kiss like a full data exchange. Researchers at Lafayette College, led by Wendy Hill, tracked hormone levels in couples before and after kissing and found measurable shifts. Oxytocin, the bonding chemical, rising, and cortisol, the stress chemical, dropping. 10 seconds of contact and your nervous system is already recalculating trust. 10 seconds. That's all it takes for a habit that started as a way to feed a baby to still be quietly rewiring your brain chemistry thousands of years later. So here's the full picture. It probably started as kiss feeding between mothers and infants. It turned into a way to smell out genetic compatibility in a potential partner. It got written down in Mesopotamia 4,500 years ago, popping up independently across ancient cultures instead of spreading from one source. The Romans turned it into a whole social taxonomy, then tried and failed to legislate it away when they noticed it was making people sick. It carried real biological risk, quietly moving diseases like herpes across generations. And it still, right now, measurably changes your hormones in under a minute. Which brings us back to you, this morning, kissing someone at the door without even registering it as a big deal. Except now, it kind of is a big deal. That half-second habit is a direct line back to some of the oldest bonding behavior our species ever developed. Repackaged, unconsciously, in the doorway of your apartment, 4,500 years after someone carved a line about it into wet clay. Maybe that's the real story of being human. We take something ancient, something that used to be about survival, and we keep doing it long after we've forgotten why. Because somewhere underneath, it still works. If you liked digging into the weird backstory of something this normal, there's a lot more like it where that came from.